I serve as Innovation Evangelist, or MOM, for a small business incubator that supports 30 early-stage companies of all shapes and sizes. In my short time in this role, I've had the opportunity to direct educational programs. I've had the opportunity to manage community development initiatives, sneak peeks at technology that may very well change our lives one day, and advise business leaders from all over the world. All of this is a little amusing, but mostly terrifying because I'm just a kid. On the weekends, you'll probably find me climbing trees and drinking PBR in the park. My favorite food is any food that is free, and the Pocahontas soundtrack makes me feel really brave. I've never taken a business class. I did not study aerospace, and I certainly wouldn't consider myself a technologist. In fact, this entire role is contrary to the career I had planned for myself. Up until about 4 years ago, I was planning to be a dietitian. I loved food, I loved science. It was a perfect match. And although my hard-earned nutrition degree has added some stimulating conversation to lunch meetings, it's done very little to equip me for the world of innovation and entrepreneurship. But what I've come to realize is that it doesn't really matter that I didn't study engineering, aerospace, or architecture because innovation, by definition, is new to everyone. When I first started working at the business incubator, I was acutely aware that I did not look as though I fit in. I was and am often still the only tiny woman in rooms filled with men twice my age. I actually developed this quirky habit of turning my Aggie ring around to hide my class here and hoping that people would just think I was a youthful 30. Believable? I thought very carefully about the things I said and the way I acted because I knew there was no mistaking me in the group. But over time, this awareness began to dull, and I felt as though I was finally growing into the shoes that had been handed to me. My age no longer taunts me with feelings of inadequacy. In fact, I can now confidently look on as people try to decide what the heck I'm doing in their business meeting. The world needs new ideas because we have a lot of issues, which means the world needs more people that are willing to jump into this world of innovation and entrepreneurship. I am confident that any of you here could do my job. In fact, I am so confident about that I'm going to tell you all how, because all the odds and ends of my job can be easily summed up into 3 functions. The first function is to observe. As I've already alluded to, it's not uncommon for me to have 0 background knowledge or field of study in a product or service that our entrepreneurs are bringing to market. It's in moments like these that I revert to a skill I learned while studying abroad in China. In the same way that I do not fluently speak programming languages, I did not fluently speak Mandarin while living in China. But I really wanted to, and I didn't let that keep me from being a part of the conversation. So what I would do is I would stand in circles as my friends spoke in unrecognizable tones, just watching and listening, nodding my head slowly to signal my attention. One time I was doing this, and a new acquaintance turned to me, and he said something that, of course, I didn't recognize. It was in Mandarin, to which I very eloquently went like this. He then smiled and told me in English, "I was trying to tell you that your Mandarin was very good." Yeah, which is funny because I hadn't said anything. The funny thing is, over time, I really did start to understand. By slowly learning the language and filling in the gaps with context clues, I was able to engage. The same is true with every new idea. Although I am rarely the subject matter expert, if I'm just willing to be a part of the conversation and if I'm diligent to watch and listen, it won't be long until I really will start to understand, be able to engage, and ask the practical questions that need to be asked. The next function is to follow. Derek Sivers gave a great talk about this, I would recommend it, where he used the analogy of a man dancing by himself at a music festival that slowly spurred on this happy little dancing mosh pit. And his point was this, that a leader is simply a loner until they gain their first follower. Well, I am that first follower. Even though I can rarely tell our entrepreneurs what's up ahead, I can tell them I'm right behind them. Because bringing new ideas into the world is probably more scary than dancing by yourself at a music festival. New ideas are fragile and unformed in the shadows of conventional thinking and traditional solutions. More often than not, entrepreneurs just need to know that someone else is watching what they're doing. They're not super worried. The last function is to be honest. I've been told before that bleeding hearts eventually die. It makes sense. And although I have been known to take in my share of wounded birds, both literally and figuratively, I've come to realize that honest feedback is the most nurturing way to alleviate a difficult situation. An entrepreneur, by the Ruthie Strout definition, is anyone who's willing to take on risk or dance by themselves in order to bring a new idea into the world. When entrepreneurs find themselves stuck somewhere in the road, they need someone that's willing to look around and tell them why. Sometimes the solution is a new iteration, a better marketing plan, a strategic partnership, and sometimes they just need a little bit of encouragement. Now, you might be picturing me walking around our business incubator with everyone's favorite Sonic drink, or maybe writing encouraging notes. But that's not the type of encouragement that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the type of encouragement that actually puts courage inside of people. It's not uncommon for entrepreneurs to camp out, if we're honest, simply for fear of what's next. The weight of risk has become too heavy, and they're not comfortable carrying it anymore. Or perhaps they want to move forward, but the road has forked, and they don't feel comfortable making a decision until all of their followers catch up. It's in moments like these that our entrepreneurs need renewed courage. They need to know that risk will be their constant companion, and the road will continue to fork. They need to know that being an entrepreneur is really hard. That's why people think they're crazy. In a strange way, by normalizing this treacherous path that they're walking, it gives them the confidence to move forward. So there you go. 3 simple functions. The world needs new ideas, which means the world needs each of you. I encourage you to find someone, watch them, listen to them, tell them that you're right behind them, and then give them honest feedback along the way. I think you will be amazed at how much you can accomplish. Thank you.